Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clash of the Correspondents with PlanetFPL. My name's Serge.
My name is James.
We have some interesting games this weekend, especially Super Sunday, where we have Liverpool taking on City. But before that, Midlands Derby. Is it Midlands Derby? East Midlands Derby?
Midlands.
Midlands. Everyone's fucking up
straight away correcting you.
Midlands Derby. Who we got? Birmingham against West Brom, is it? Yeah. I'm Serge. This is James. James, why don't you introduce our guests?
Yes, we're looking forward to the biggest clash of Super Sunday. Please be offended, Liverpool and Man City fans. And in my opinion, supporters from the two biggest clubs in the Midlands. That's going to offend some more people. We are joined by Bradley Parker at Parker_Bradley, our Wolverhampton Wanderers correspondent. How are you, Bradley?
All good, thanks, James.
Thank you, mate. And we are joined by Adam Hopcroft at Hey now at A Hopcroft 13, our Aston Villa correspondent. How are you, Adam?
Yeah, doing really well, thanks.
That's normally you that stutters and fucks up.
Oh, is it?
I don't know what happened.
Well, we've found out now. Interesting game coming up this weekend. I'm actually looking forward to it from a footballing point of view as much as the rivalry. I think Wolves have been playing well, getting results or at least creating chances. I mean, 25 shots against Arsenal at the weekend. I think Villa are finding some real rhythm with Grealish and Wesley and so on and so on. McGinn obviously having a lot of shots. I think it's going to be a decent game of football, if nothing else.
Yeah, I want to start, lads, by asking, what's the rivalry like? If we can start with Bradley, what's the rivalry like between the two clubs? I think it's said to say your main rival's West Brom, Adams will be Birmingham, but there is a rivalry between the two clubs, isn't there?
I think it's got a bit more heated recently just because of the championship classes. Because those games were a bit more of a ding-dong for like battles for the top 6 positions and stuff. But traditionally, it's just been a sort of a low-key derby match, I felt, personally anyway. It's like they care more about Birmingham and we care more about playing West Brom. And to be honest, I think most Wolves fans, if they're honest, probably dislike Birmingham City a lot more.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because we traditionally play them a bit more. So there's a bit more nettle in it.
I think that traditional's about to go out the window, mate, with respect to the Blues. What's your thoughts on the rivalry, Adam? Is there one as such?
Do you know what? I'd agree with what Bradley said. I think now we're back in the Premier League. A lot of Villa fans, like myself, are like, why is everybody so bothered about us? The Wolves fans seem really concerned about Villa. But then I think because we build it up like that, we make it a bigger thing. And I think, like you said, I think the long term, there hasn't been a huge rivalry between the clubs. But obviously, you've got two big clubs in the Midlands. To be fair, Wolves are, slightly ahead of us in the pecking order at the moment. So I think there's becoming a little bit of a rivalry, I think, just because they're two close clubs in the Midlands. But historically, no, we care. The only club we really bothered about is Birmingham City, if I'm being honest.
I feel like Bradley's about to go, me West Brom, by the way.
Yeah. Bradley, I was very wary about the Thursday, Sunday football for Wolves this season. That's why I didn't go on a couple of assets. I did think that Diogo Jota was well priced at the start of the season. Even Jimenez was well priced, still is well priced. So I didn't get any Wolves assets. You've grown in. I think you've grown into this Thursday, Sunday football as the season's gone on, and more recently, I've had a few conversations with a few people that said Wolves are one of the first clubs to actually crack it and now be able to do it. What are your thoughts on this Thursday, Sunday stuff?
I think at the start of the season, you could tell physically that it was a lot different. We still start a bit sluggish now, like against Arsenal. Well, not Arsenal. Southampton, we was slow first half. Second half, when he changes it to a 3-4-3, we tend to play a lot better. And he did start that way on Saturday against Arsenal. So hopefully he's seen the light a bit now. Because if we start with a 3-4-3 with Traoré, Raul and Jota, take the game to him, it suits us a lot better. So we hope he sticks with it in Europe as well. I think they've cracked it, though. They seem to know when to put some players in and put some players out.
I think the one thing with Wolves compared to maybe Arsenal or what have you is that you rotate less between the Europa League team and the Premier League team, whereas they may be chucking in more kids in the Europa League. You're playing a strong team every week. So I suppose you're taking the competition seriously. It can have one of two effects, right? Either you build momentum and consistency and the players gather rhythm, or the flip side is they're knackered, but you seem to be managing it now.
Yeah, it's just the first half. So I've noticed sometimes after European football, this can start very slow. Because I think we've had to come back in a lot of matches this season, which is a good sign to have as well. But I'd rather take the lead and take the initiative that way rather than always having to come back all the time. Because you're not going to get results all the time coming back. I mean, it was like draw Wolverhampton Wanderers at the minute, like constant 1-1.
It's a mentality shift, isn't it? Obviously, you'd come up last year, and although obviously you did very well, I think for that first season, every game's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even the ones you think, I don't look forward to that fixture. It's still, we need to go and show today. Whereas when you first get in, and I know this from when Spurs had it in the mid-noughties, when you do first get in, it's massive. From a fan base point of view, it's such an honour. Whatever people say about the Europa League, to get in there, and for a club like Wolves that was in League One, 5 years ago or something, it's huge to be a part of that. Adam knows Villa have had some great European nights at Villa Park and would love them back. So to get in it, there is a priority that's going to go into it. And I think, like you've said plenty of times on Twitter, Bradley, particularly people like Moutinho, you're like, how many times is he going to flog this guy? Is he ever going to give him a break? Looking at one of the fears was about rotation with Wolves, right? Jimenez has missed 34 minutes in the Premier League this season. Like, there isn't actually a concern, is there?
No, not anymore, no.
And he's still a great price at 7.2. But for some reason, even with that, the fear remains. I don't know why.
A little.
What's your take on that, Adam, in terms of Wolves' assets?
They've obviously got good fixtures coming up. I think the Thursday-Sunday rotation does concern me a little bit. And it'll be interesting to see what team they put out on. Is it tomorrow against Bratislava?
Yeah,
Bratislava. I'll be really, really interested to see the team that you put out for that. I think in terms of rotation, I think Jimenez has been involved in every single game for Wolves. I don't think he's missed a single Premier League game to my knowledge.
No.
So I don't think there's any real risk of him missing out. I think Jota maybe more so. I think he's more rotation proof. The likes of Traore, Doherty potentially are as well. So, but I think if you're looking at Wolves at the moment with Bowley injured, the person you're looking at is Jimenez, and he's capable of. He showed last season he's capable of delivering against anybody. I think your only concern is the I suppose the effect on the actual team of playing Sunday and Thursday, Sunday. But I think recently Wolves have handled it fairly well. It was just the start of the season and getting into the swing of things.
How do you feel about Villa's season so far, Adam? I think from an outsider's point of view, I've been quietly impressed. There's been quite a few players that have put their hand up from an FPL point of view. You've been picking up results and you've got a certain style of player. I mean, the fullbacks now we've talked about in Gilbert and Target, potentially McGinn, Grealish, maybe even Wesley. I know you're more bullish on Wesley. I don't think I am on from an FPL point of view. But are you happy with Dean Smith and what he's done so far at the start of the season?
I don't think that you'll struggle to find a Villa fan that isn't happy with Dean Smith. I think there was a couple of key matches. I think to get our first win against Everton was really important to get that quite early on. And I think then recently the Norwich game as well really spurred us on. We've, I think across the starting lineup, we look fairly strong. I think a few fans have become frustrated with Wesley, but then you look at it, he's got 4 goals, which I think is the same as Jimenez. So you can't really knock him from that point of view. He will get better, I'm sure of it. I think our wingers have started to come into it a little bit more. So the likes of Trezeguet getting his first goal, he's showed a lot of promise. That's good. El Ghazi's chipped in. So I think overall, when you look at it player by player, there's a lot of positives. I think and we've competed in absolutely every game. The downside is that against Liverpool, against Spurs, against Arsenal, we've thrown leads away. And I don't think we've ever had the belief that we can go on and win the game. But that's not going to define our season. So, and I think there's a real good fear factor. The atmosphere at Villa Park is probably as good as any ground. It's definitely the best I've ever witnessed in my life. It's that good at the moment.
The first win at Everton, the Friday night game, the celebrations in the whole end afterwards were even from watching on telly, kind of spine tingling. I thought, do you know what? That's
incredible. And when you go before the game, it's just so loud now, which I've never, and you can hear anytime you'll hear like the Villa on the TV, you always hear the fans singing throughout the game. So I think it's a real good factor. But I think we just got to accept that. Staying up is a good season for us. And it's the first season back, and that will be a huge milestone, promotion, and then consolidating. And I think we're on track to do that. I think the game of the weekend is important because it comes in the middle of some very tough fixtures. So we've got this game in Newcastle, and then it's Leicester. Then it's Chelsea United, Leicester, Sheffield United. So there's another group of tough fixtures. So I think it's important we get something on Sunday.
As you were coming on, Adam, I thought I'd get a stat question for you, because I know you like all that stuff, mate. Which Premier League players completed the most clearances so far this season?
I'd imagine, and I haven't checked, but you got to look at. It's probably got to be Mings and Engels, and maybe someone like Cook in there as well.
Oh, he's a bastard. I was going to stitch him up because I just assumed he'd say Mings. No, it's Steve Cook.
Okay.
But Steve Cook, 82 clearances, Tyrone Mings, 80, and then it's a 14 drop-off down to Bednarek, actually.
Yeah, he was exceptional the first game in the Premier League against
I think he had about 14 or 15 against us. Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he did. But they've done well. But I think I would have liked to have seen one or two more clean sheets. Because I think we've defended backs against the wall. We've probably, when we've been in the league, invited too much pressure, but that'll come with experience.
Yeah, but if you look at it on paper, that back four, for me, it feels a lot better from obviously El Mohammadi and Taylor to the two fullbacks that are playing now. Definitely, it's made a big difference, I think.
It makes a massive difference. It's not necessarily from a defensive point of view. I think Gilbert's done very well, but the upgrade of target coming in for Taylor is huge.
There's a big difference. Because
he offers great width and attacking threat, firstly, and we've seen that with his goal and a couple of assists. But what he also allows is he allows Grealish to play sort of like an inverted, off the left number 10. And, you see teams now have sort of imbalanced formations, and I think that really works for Villa. Taylor didn't offer that threat, so he has made such a big difference, particularly for Grealish's game as well.
Just to follow on that, because I want to ask Bradley about Wolves' setup kind of changed at the weekend, and I think it will continue to do so. Obviously, Grealish didn't play against Liverpool at the weekend, and you played fine without him. Obviously, kind of went back to Trezeguet and El Ghazi with two out-and-out players. But in the previous games, there'd been this movement to try and get Grealish further up the pitch. Can you explain to the listeners kind of how that's happened? And is it because Hourahan's been playing more, has had a more stabilising effect in the middle where there's more control so Grealish can play higher? Yeah,
of course. So Grealish started, effectively, Dean Smith likes playing a 4-3-3 and he likes his fullbacks to get forward and his wingers to be sort of inverted wingers, if you like. And I think Grealish started the season as a number 8. So he was playing, him and McGinn were playing in front of Douglas Luiz and then Nakamba following that.
He's marvellous.
He literally is. Been probably our best signing. Absolutely brilliant. And then what I think what Dean Smith and a lot of Villa fans were saying is Grealish he was playing well. He was very involved, but probably not in the right areas. You'd want him a bit further forward and to do damage. So what he's done is he brought Target into the side. Target really pushes up, and by bringing in Hourahan in, Douglas Luiz has played the last few, but by bringing Hourahan in, playing on the left, Nakamba and McGinn on the right, he just allowed Grealish to have a complete, almost like a free role. I'd call him like an inverted number 10. He's not a winger, almost like quite Hazard-esque, I suppose, in a way. He just can go. If you look at his heat map, he's got involved on the right. He's just freedom to just go and play wherever he wants. And he covers, he's covered more ground. I think in the majority of matches this season, he's covered more ground than any other player, which says something when you've got John McGinn on the pitch for a start. But it's just allowed him to and I think they've kept a little bit more width with either El Ghazi or Trezeguet the other side, but they've just allowed Grealish to play absolutely where he wants. And he's such an intelligent footballer that it suits that role. I think he was concerned because he doesn't like playing left winger. He doesn't particularly like number 10, but he likes the fact he's got complete freedom. So it's worked out well so far. Be interesting to see what happens in the game on Sunday. Hopefully he's fit. I think that they were saying yesterday that they will hopefully return to training at some point this week. So
one of his greatest strengths is the way he wins free kicks. It's only Zaha's been fouled more in the final third in games this season. He has a brilliant ability to carry the ball almost effortless and without pace and feel like he's in complete control and you can't get him off the thing. Unique footballer. I think he's been taken out of there a little bit because of defensive deficiencies, which you don't want him getting exposed for. You want him going the other way anyway, Adam. So I think that's the theory behind it.
Exactly that. But to be fair to him, he was putting a shift in defensively, and there's been quite a few clips. And the best match he played this season was against Brighton. He was unplayable. It was one of the best performances I've seen from a Villa player in a long time. But there were quite a few instances in that match. He was winning the ball back in our area. He was chasing back 60, 70 yards to make a tackle. And it was just an unreal, all-round great performance. And I think it was capped by obviously that assist and the last kick of the game, but which we could only half celebrate because of VAR. But,
let's not do that, lads. It's a different podcast. I know because you two go to games regularly that's annoying as well. Bradley, exactly. Talk to me about Krapid, mate.
Oh, you mean the best footballer on the planet?
I know the guy, yeah.
different player now this season. I think Adam probably seen him a little bit when he was at Villa, like very raw player, but in a team of bad eggs and poor management and coaching. And he was injured a lot, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he struggled to get momentum and start. So
it just shows what a good coach can do. Because last season he was just a bit part player, but now he's the main man going forward at the minute to get us on the front foot. Because he just attracts the players to him. It lets Jimenez be more free. And if you got Jota on the other side as well, because he's a pain in the arse to the opposition, all of a sudden, Raul is probably getting nice 1-2s off him and getting in. Because if Jota was electric on Saturday as well, he's starting to come back into it now.
I feel like the change is happening, Bradley, a little bit because in terms of formation where sort of from January time, you kind of went back to Dendoncker went in the team and it became Jota kind of went really central with Jimenez. And we've seen it at Arsenal at the weekend. I feel like it's been coming for a while. We're seeing this kind of reverting back to what Wolves started with, which is two players in behind Jimenez. And I feel the main reason that's happening is to try and accommodate Doherty and Traore into that team. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think it also might be to do with Bolly's injury. I think he thinks I might not be able to defend as much as better as we can, especially aerially. We're going to be pretty poor, I think, in the air.
We've got Vallejo. Yeah, you like him. You like him, don't you?
I think I could beat him in the air and armour dwarf. He's weak. He's so weak. Don't get me started on him.
So what are we looking at there at the moment? We're looking at C.O.T.C, Cody and Dendoncker back there. Is that what we're looking at, we think?
Yeah, I think so, because Bennett's only just come back from injury. Yeah. But Dendoncker done all right against Newcastle. He's a bit more assured on the ball. So I'd pick him anyway, I think, for now.
Yeah, I think to go into Wolves' assets at the moment, I think we'd mentioned...
Avoid defence.
Yeah, he's spot on.
Unless Doherty, I think.
Well, at least until it feels a little much, doesn't it? 6 million. It's nice for our differential team. I think that's a big call to put in your main team at that price at the moment, when there is still a rotation risk as well, that you could put Traore back there. It's a big chunk.
I think Wolves, really, Jimenez is the only option who's scored more than 50 points this season. He's on 52. But you look at Traore, and I agree with you, he is playing well. It's only 2 goals and 1 assist, and both goals came in the same game. Doherty hasn't played as much, but that's 1 goal, 2 assists. that there's not the volume of attacking returns. That, in my opinion, right now, there's only one place you'd want to go with Wolves, which is Raul.
Let me ask you, Bradley. I've got Pookie and Cantwell in my squad, and I'd have the money to get to Traore, Moutinho, Neves, Jota, Jimenez, any of them basically. If I went to do that, what move should I make first?
Can you afford Raul?
Yeah, I could go Pookie
go
to
for
Jimenez,
Raul.
easy, yeah.
I'll go for Raul first.
So you would prefer that rather than getting, say, Traore in for Cantwell, for example?
Yeah.
I think
so.
He's still the main man, isn't he? I think that's personally.
He's just a class stroker.
Personally, it's a big call for me. Whether, like I said, if I won't do it this week, but if I do get Jimenez in the next couple of weeks, I can't see me changing away from Jimenez, Vardy, and Abraham. I think if I'm going for those three, I'm stuck with that.
But it's
If
not.
it's only
You make
Vardy,
it sound like it's such a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just you've got, like, particularly with Jimenez and Vardy, I think, like, you're going to take the rough with the smooth and know that they'll score. You know, Jimenez will score at Arsenal and that. He'll score in the big games. So will Vardy. They'll blank in some of the weaker ones. I just think they're good holding retainer players. Would you say, Adam, that someone like Grealish or McGinn fall into similar categories?
Yeah, so as a player, I obviously I love both of them. I'm a big Jack Grealish fan as a player because I think it's just an absolute joy to watch. I love his style. But I think for FPL, if I was to advise between the two at the moment with our fixtures, it'd be McGinn because he scored at Arsenal, he scored at Spurs. He was I don't know how he didn't score against Man City, assisted against Liverpool. So I think he's fixture proof. I think he's played every minute of every game this season or close to. Grealish has got those few doubts with injury at the moment, but I think with Grealish as well, it's extremely creative. I think McGinn is probably the slightly safer option that I would go for. I think when the fixtures get good, I think it's around Christmas time, then I'd potentially go back to Grealish. But I think McGinn has proved his fixture proof this season. In terms of other Villa assets, I wouldn't touch any at the moment with our fixtures.
It's not the answer I wanted, Adam. I've got Yarmolenko sitting in my midfield at 5.9 million. I'm going to bin him, if not this week, because of injuries and other transfers. Next week, he's a goner. And it was Grealish that I've had my head turned more because of the form in the last few weeks where he's played further forward and everybody already owns McGinn. They're priced so closely. I was hoping you were going to say, you know what, the tide's turning, go to Grealish. I may still just try and be maverick and maintain my 2 million rank and go with Grealish.
I think it's more the fixtures because where Grealish really excels when we have to break down opposition. That's why he looked great against particularly Norwich and Brighton. I think it's also how will we set up against the more. Because I think we were away at Chelsea and
Man United are easily forgettable, Adam. Honestly.
Well, it's true. I think.
Well, I was going to say, what's so wrong with the fixtures?
Yeah.
I think Leicester and Chelsea are tough. I think Sheffield United is a tough game as well. Having seen what they've done, so I think we've got Wolves and Newcastle next, which I think are okay. And I think, Grealish against Newcastle could be a really, really good bet. Hopefully he'll be fit for this weekend. So I think if you're looking at Villa options, it's between those two. I wouldn't look at anybody else at the moment, personally, because I think there's better options elsewhere for the money.
I think for those holding the wild card very late, there'll be quite a bit looking at Villa. I'm looking at this little run.
Look at the Christmas fixtures. Yeah. They're incredible.
21st, 26th, 28th. Southampton at home, Norwich at home, Watford away.
Decent fixtures.
Something will appeal in there.
And we do need to start trying to break away from the template.
And the safety on that period as well is, with respect, like if you go for, say, a McGinn or a Grealish, you're going to feel quite comfortable.
They play all the games.
That's the point. They're going to play.
Yeah. So, I think that's the time to really get on Villa.
Am I okay with Heaton, Adam?
Honestly, I think there's better goalkeeper. I like Heaton, but I just don't think we'll keep many clean sheets in the foreseeable future.
Oddly enough, I've noticed, mate.
No, I think Villa have got the most shots against them in the box, I think.
That's absolutely spot on, Bradley. It was something I was going to bring up.
We invite too much pressure when we take the lead, and we've taken a lead in a lot of games, and then there's been the tendency to invite pressure on. And I would probably get rid of Heaton. I've got Pope. I'm giving him 2 games, and he's potentially going to be going as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 140 shots in the box Villa have faced. Norwich 130.
Wow.
Villa overall shots 213, the most.
That is
a surprising number.
Mm. Bradley, how do you feel about your FPL season so far? You had a stormer last week. I'm looking at 78 points.
Oh, this week the best for ages, even with another frigging captain fail. That's my theme this season: captain fail.
Where's the Wolves? Where's the Wolves players?
Yeah, yours and mine together. I think a lot of people have suffered with captaincy fails. It can only get better from the here on in, surely. But you've got 500, and I'm just having a look here. Overall rank, you're just outside the top million. Could be worse. Could be 1.6.
Yeah, I think my
like me.
squad's fine. I think it's just the captaincy. I think my squad. I'm happy with my squad, apart from killing Bolly. I've transferred him in that week. He broke his ankle.
Ouch!
I couldn't believe it. I felt bad for myself. I was like, have I done this? I've killed him.
It was at a time when a lot were kind of looking at him as an undercurrent as well, looking at that value, a longer run of decent fixtures, which you're still in the midst of, Bradley. The fixture run is all right, and I think it's a shame that he's injured because there were defensive assets. He would have been prime candidate to look at from Wolves.
Yeah, so he's the best player by far.
He's just kind of focused that attention towards Jimenez a little bit more, I think.
Correct. Adam, what about you? You're a little bit better off than Bradley at the moment. I think you're probably similar. 400,000 at the moment, similar to James.
Yeah, I'm fairly happy actually. So I think I played my wild card in the second game week because I think it was after the United Wolves game, so it was the start after game week 2. And I loaded up with 3 United, and I've recovered since then. I think the other decision I made, big decision, is I ditched Salah and went for Mane, and that's been one of the best decisions. And I got a lot of stick on Twitter for that, and people were saying, you've made loads of people pick Mane, but I'm sure those people, if they've stuck with it, will be thanking me now. So.
I wanted to ask you, Adam, because we had you on that week before you played Bournemouth in game week 2. And then you went on Who Got the Assist the following week. And it was a really fascinating listen because I could feel, I'd messaged you and said I could hear the regret in you. I felt for you, but it would come good. So, are there any major regrets? Now it's obviously further away. You can look back in hindsight and stuff.
I don't regret wildcarding necessarily. And because one of the decisions is about value and some of the players that I wanted. And Lundstrom was one that I bought in because I realised I'd got it wrong on him. So I don't necessarily regret it. Where I regret is where I've tended to do well is when I've watched football and made decisions. So the Mane v Salah have come purely from watching football, watching a lot of the games. You can see he's getting the better chances in the box. Salah gets a lot of shots blocked. That's been happening for a while. It's not a new thing. People get excited about Salah because he had a great, he's still a very great player, but Mane has been getting the better chances. But the problem is, I went against that with United because what I could see from the Chelsea game, and I've posted some things around it, and it's the same with Wolves. United are very good on the counter-attack. They're not great when they have to break down teams, and it's evident. And that's why now I won't touch Martial or Rashford, and the stats back it up so much. But if you just watch, and I think where I've made decisions on football, and from watching a number of games, I've tended to get them right, even if it's going against the crowd. But yeah, the triple Man United. What happened? I'll tell you. This is what actually happened. Is that I'm in a few groups on Twitter. Some good managers. And everyone was getting a bit excited in that Man United Wolves game. And then Martial scored. And there was like De Bruyne, Martial, loads of players that people, that wanted. And I just thought, I need to have them now. And I hit the wild card button relatively quickly because I thought I want to make these changes quickly. So I don't necessarily regret wild carding, but I regret bringing in Martial, Rashford, Wan-Bissaka in particular as well. I went too heavy on United and didn't need to.
One bottle of whiskey later.
Yeah, exactly.
Just quickly, Adam, because I've got to say, it's really fascinating for me to hear you talk about Mane on the eye test, because I'm heavy eye test, so that's exactly what I feel. You'll be there putting the stats out on Friday, Mane versus Salah.
Salah 50 goals at home.
If you look at, so I try and be as objective as I can with my stats. It's very difficult to do so, and probably if you get Tom with who's got the assist, probably I'm framing things in a certain way. Not always the intention, but if you look at a lot of my tweets this year, when you look at the stats, everyone has been so excited about Salah and posting he's having more shots, he's having more, and his XG is higher and all of those things, and they've really pushed that. I haven't. If the stuff that I pushed was the fact that year to date, and this was going back, when Mane first, I think it was after the Southampton game, he's got more goals year to date. He's got more braces. His form's better. He's got more big chances. And I was going with that angle. And it was, the eye test really supported it and helped form that opinion. So I've been very, very pro Mane for a long time. And I think there's always stats to support stuff. But you've got to look at the right stuff. Vardy's the best example there is out there for that. Everyone goes to stat
Forget
buster.
the stats. Doesn't
You know what? He isn't actually a stat buster. It's just looking at the right stats for Vardy. He's never going to have loads of shots. If you look at his averages over the last...
he never shoots from outside the box or nothing, ever, does he?
He's a clever striker. His conversion rate's always up there with the highest. So all you need from Vardy is for him to get 2-3 chances consistently over a period of time, and he'll get the goals. So I don't... For me, with Vardy, he passes the eye test massively. He's never going to be somebody who shoots as much as the likes of Salah, the likes of Aguero, etc. He's just not that player.
You know who else has quite a good conversion rate, don't you? It's Jimenez.
Yeah, he does.
He really does.
Bradley, you got any thoughts on transfer moves for this weekend for yourself?
Possibly selling Salah for Mane. I thought about it logically as well. He's going to get it on the end of Trent's crosses a lot more than Salah will.
Yeah, this is the point I made the other night.
Yeah, I just think another point that James made about the ownership as well, which is fascinating. And I looked into that today because I was on the other show. I was looking at the ownership on Salah and Mane, because now that Salah's at 33, Salah's at 27, Mane's at 33. What interested me was at the start of the season, game week 1, 800,000 people owned Mane. He's now at 2.1. At the start of the season, 2.3 million people owned Salah. It's still more than 2 million people. It's not like there's been a mass exodus. Still more than 2 million people still owning Mo Salah. So I think the hardcore who are faithful with him are going to stick with him for a little bit longer.
Interesting.
Trossard as well, I really like. I had him in my game week 1 squad and then he got injured. But
he looks class, doesn't he?
The eye test with him, he's a class player.
That's £6 million.
That's the only thing I'd say there, but he looks class.
My Yarmolenko problem was going to be solved with Trossard, and it may still well be very soon. Bradley, thoughts on this weekend? Give us a prediction, as we always like to do with the correspondence.
I'll say 2-1 to Wolves. Probably big performance from Raul. He loves a big game.
2-1 to Wolves. Adam,
I thought it wasn't a big game.
It is to them.
Here we go.
What are your thoughts, Adam?
I think it's got 1-1 written all over it, personally. I really just think it'll be...
Not another one.
Yeah. I think it will. And I wouldn't be too disappointed with that. I think we just need to keep the momentum. I think 4 points for us in the next 2 games, Newcastle at home and Wolves away. I'd be happy with that.
Just hope Grealish still play.
I think
just changes their team massively.
Yeah, he does.
I'm going Villa. I think Villa 2-1. Yeah, I really do. Europa League for Wolves. Villa are going to be up for it. Grealish is going to be fit. It's going to be 2-1 Villa. That's what I really fancy for this weekend.
No, I fancy Wolves just. I think Villa will score.
Yeah.
But I fancy.
Yeah,
I think yours, Josh.
I think it's a good bet for both teams to score. I think.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we all think that it's going to be tight, one goal in it.
Yeah, we said that before Southampton and Leicester.
That's true. When we had Foxy and Ali on, and ended up being a 9-0. So I doubt we'll see a kind of repeat of that.
Depends if Vallejo's playing.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope he is.
Bradley, no, we mentioned it. We
but
mentioned it a few times. How bad is he?
Really bad.
Like, just really bad.
He's just bad. I think the biggest indicator of how bad he is when he come on against. I forgot it was it, but the Cody looked like he don't want to pass to him, and that to me was the biggest indicator that he's shit, because he must be shit in training as well.
I think he struggled a bit this year, Connor Cody's personal opinion. I thought he was.
He gets exposed if he gets one-on-one.
Yeah,
he gets exposed.
I think you have to remember as well that he started as a midfield player as a kid. I think if England stayed at 3 at the back, like, there would have been a shot for him. I think now it's gone to a back 4. It's gone. I could have seen him sitting there in the middle of a back 3 for England, because he can play. But I think that's gone for him, and his form has not been good enough this season. You got people like
no, he got teared apart by Abraham. He was absolutely rinsed.
Well, was it the hat-trick goal that Abraham's? Nobody did that to him last year, man.
No, Bolly protects him a lot, I think, sometimes.
I agree. Yeah, he's a big. How long do we know he's out for? Between 6 weeks or so, Bradley?
Till next year.
Wow. Yeah,
that's 8 at least.
That's a line through Wolves.
I will transfer in my ankles, both of them. You can have them.
He's a good player.
He's such a big player.
Yeah. Cool, guys. We're going to wrap it up there, as even though we could probably just keep chatting for a good another half an hour.
This happens
Spoiler alert!
Every week.
That we are recording the night before release, and James has got a game to go to tonight.
Yeah,
Wednesday night football.
You can do the wrap ups. I need to find out what my team was.
They're announcing the Spurs lineup as we speak. As always, want to say thank you for all of the articles and content and interaction on Twitter, and loving the winners and losers article, Bradley. There'll be another one.
Thank you.
Probably going live with the show as well, actually, and the stats drops on Twitter and what have you, Adam. So thank you for all of that from the FPL listeners and community and what have you.
Adam, liking the YouTube vids, mate.
Oh, cheers, thanks.
Like them.
I'll try and squeeze another one in before.
Keep them coming. Yeah, keep taking our listeners away from us. Yep, thanks. Yep.
They're watchers, James. They're looking for the beauty,
watchers.
mate.
Sorry, yeah.
They can listen to our
Ain't
dulcet
looking for him
voices.
for that or me. I know that. Definitely not.
It's us. It's fine. James, tell us what we got left this week.
Final plan
Nothing.
tomorrow.
That's it.
I do just want to say on Clash of the Correspondents, obviously everybody's been on now. It's the second time the lads have come on.
Yeah.
We're going to have 2 episodes during the international break. One at the top end of the table, one at the bottom end. So next Thursday we got Johnny Pringle, FPL Pringle, and Rotation FPL on to look ahead to Man City and Chelsea 10 days in advance. But I thought that'd be really interesting, because obviously we're actually gonna record that the day after City play Liverpool, so it'd be interesting to see what mood Johnny's in.
Yeah.
And the following week we got Sixth Goal and Turfy Topper, and we're talking about Watford and Burnley. So 2 game week 13 games we'll be looking at in focus.
I'm looking forward most to. So if you guys have seen Stephen, whenever he's come on at Sixth Goal, Stephen Toomey, he's always in the most random places at the most random times of day. So is it going to be another like 4 a.m. in the morning in the back of his car recording studios situation?
It might be.
It's worth tuning in just for that randomness. So looking forward to that with Stephen for sure. We better make sure we get some good quality beers in, because he'll really be upset if we're drinking Budweisers.
Of all the results where I'll be watching as a neutral, I really hope Watford win this weekend, because I really could do with them winning a game before he comes on.
Yeah, cheer the man up. Thank you for all of the listens and watches and comments we've had this week. I hope you've had a good week. Game week 12 is around the corner. So tune into the final plan, where you'll get my final transfers and team. I've held off so far, James, because of no price rises, but we will be releasing all of that tomorrow alongside James's. And we look forward to seeing you then. Good luck for now. Good luck for the week. Ciao for now.
It's unusual for you to be sensible. Thanks, gents. Cue music, man, Charles.
Thanks, gents. Take care, Adam.
No problem.
Bradley.
Cheers, lads.
The Fantasy Football Show.